For today's video, we have busted out MS Paint because I got to show you something. This is you as a cleaning business owner. Now, we've got two sides to this. You can read this, you can see what this is, right? On the right-hand side, we got day to day. Now, this is you when you start off. This is you when you're on the tools. This is you when you've got a few team members. This is you when you're right at the beginning of the journey. And there will be a couple of things that kind of go into development, but generally speaking, you exist mostly in the day-to-day side of the business. Most of it is going to be over on the right-hand side as opposed to over on the left. This idea of constantly being on the right-hand side of the business, if you've ever felt stressed about the business, if you've felt frustrated, resentful, you're sick of the issues, you're sick of the firefighting, you're sick of the day-to-day, you're sick of being distracted, you're sick of being, people taking your attention, taking your time, whatever it is, right, through messages, through emails, through whatever it is, customers calling you. If you're sick of that, the goal is to get over to the left side. And this shift happens kind of organically in part, but so many people get so used to existing in the right-hand side that they forget that they really want to be in the left. So let's break this down. So the day-to-day of the business, we've got things that are urgent, right? Things that are reactive. We've got things that are fleeting and momentary. So what I mean by those two is it's a big problem now, but maybe in an hour it's not going to be a problem. Maybe in a week it's not going to be a problem. In a month it's probably not going to be a problem. And in a year it's definitely not going to be a problem. There are things that exist in the moment. Now the trouble is with the day-to-day, there is always something, right? There is always... I'm not very good at drawing in MS Paint, but let's give it a go, right? You've always got a big fire that's burning, right? This is the problem with existing in the day-to-day of the business. There is always a fire burning somewhere, right? And your instinct is, oh, cool, it's my responsibility as a cleaning business owner to go and fix that, to go put out that fire. The trouble is, as soon as you extinguish this fire, guess what happens? Oh, look, another fire pops up somewhere else. Okay, great. Now I gotta go fix that one as well. So you end up in this perpetual state of just putting out fires, because then all of a sudden you're over here and you've got to put out that fire, and then one starts up at the bottom. You see the point, right? And you get into this cycle where all you seem that you do is you're putting out fires day to day. Now, some of those fires, like this one here, right? This big one. This is a big fire. This probably needs to be addressed. This one over here, or even maybe you just got a little bit of... Oh, do they still have the spray can? Is that still a thing? Oh, maybe not. Yeah. Maybe you just got a little bit of smoke. Let's go with this. This kind of works. Maybe it's just a little bit of smoke. And you're like, well, it's smoldering, but I don't need to deal with it yet. And this is what I would advise. Not everything needs to be dealt by you immediately. And in fact, long term, we want to try and get rid of anything over this side as much as possible. Really, what we want to be doing is pretty much solely focusing just on this side, which is the development of the business. Now, this stuff is going to be in contrast to the day-to-day. Where the day-to-day is urgent, this is important. The trouble with that is we know that urgency always trumps importance. Right? If you've got something important that you have to do, but something urgent happens and comes up, what do? You have to go do the urgent thing because that fire is burning now. The important thing implies that there might be a problem later if it's not done, but, it's not immediate. So the problem is we always lose out on doing the important things because of the urgent things. The other thing here is the development of the business is proactive. We're making improvements in the hope that long term it's going to lead to more freedom, whether that's financial or time freedom, or it's going to increase satisfaction with clients, with customers, with staff members, right? It's going to make the day-to-day stronger. And it means that you don't need to do as much of this. We're going to get onto that in just a moment. The other thing here is that development is long-lasting and it's necessary. If you as the business owner, if you just exist here, right, in this side, just in the day-to-day, what's going to happen is you end up becoming so tired that you don't really do anything. You're going to be so exhausted, so stressed, so frustrated, and you're going to get to the point where you're like, I've had enough, I'm sick of this, and you're going to say, hang on, I'm out, right? You're going to get to the point where you're like, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. Your responsibility as the cleaning business owner is to try and get all of this off your plate as much as possible. Now, when you're in it, that's a lot harder said than done, right? Well, actually, it's a lot easier said than done, hopefully. It's a lot easier said than done when you're in that position because you're just firefighting all the time. The first thing that I need you to do is to recognize that you need to be somewhere else. You need to be on the left-hand side, that you don't need to be on the right-hand side. Now, one of the key principles of the cleanup system is that nothing, and I literally mean nothing, in the cleaning business has to be done by you, the cleaning company owner. Absolutely nothing. So the first thing I need you to recognize is you're spending too much time over here. We need to have a pattern interrupt. Now, often awareness of a problem is simply enough to break you out of that pattern, to make you realize that that's what you're doing. But if you feel like your day-to-day is just constantly being distracted with customers and cleaners and problems, let's talk about how you actually receive that information. My guess is that you've got one of these in your hand. That's not a beer can, by the way. That's a phone. That's a phone. My guess is you got a phone in your hand, and that phone is constantly going. And it's constant, and you're getting messages, and you're getting emails, and you're getting reminders, and you're getting notifications, and you're getting calls, and you're getting all this stuff, right? A lot of this day-to-day stuff, you are going to find out through this magical and also disgusting little box called your phone. If you want to have focused time where you work on the business and you're not subservient to the things that are happening, you have to get used to putting your phone somewhere else, or have a work phone that you can turn off and have a personal phone where people don't have your number, right? Absolutely essential. Don't be subservient to your phone. Now, what you're saying is, yeah, but my phone is just telling me about all these problems. If I don't know that it's happening, people are going to leave, my business is going to fall apart, everything's going to... Stop. You're operating from a place of fear, right? If something goes wrong, because it's a big if, you have conditioned yourself, just like Pavlov's dog, which if you don't know Pavlov's dog, essentially conditioned the dog that when you ring a bell, that dog is like, I'm getting food. Dog starts to salivate, simply just from hearing the bell. Because the bell has become so associated with food that the body goes, oh, the bell's gone, I need to create extra saliva, I'm going to be eating in a moment. So, you've conditioned yourself that one, when your phone goes, something's wrong. You might have phone anxiety. I've been there too. It sucks, right? And the second thing is, you've conditioned yourself that when something does go wrong, that one, you have to be the person to fix it, and secondly, that you have to do it immediately. Those two things are not true. Now, depending on the size of your cleaning company, this is size dependent, right? Depending on the size, it may be that you do have to be the person to fix it for the time being. But if you have other people in place, you have a supervisor, you have other people in the team, they should be the ones to take that problem on and provide a solution for you, basically. You shouldn't be the default person. Your job as the cleaning company owner, right, is instead of being here, I want you over here. I don't want you here on this side. Yeah, you might have to dip in every now and again and come back across, but I want you back on this side as a matter of urgency. I don't want you staying on the right-hand side. You have to condition yourself, and you have to learn that lesson, and you have to stick to it to know that you belong on the left-hand side. You don't belong on the right-hand side. You're the cleaning business owner. Your job is to make sure that everyone else is doing their job. Your job is to make sure that you've got the headspace for strategy. Your job is to make sure that you've got the headspace to put the important things in place, and you can't constantly be in that position where you have to be jumping into the day-to-day to fix everything. That simply can't be you. Even if it has to be you for the time being, we have to be putting steps in place for the future for that to not be you. That means documenting systems. That means creating systems. It means looking at what you're doing at the moment and attributing a value to those tasks. It means delegating those tasks to somebody else. It means getting stuff off of your plate. It means letting go. And you have to be getting to the point where you go, right, For my business to succeed, I have to learn to let go. Now, you've heard me say in the past, your cleaning business is not your baby, it's your child, right? Something I came up with probably 3 years ago because people kept telling me it's my baby. And I was like, well, hang on a minute, that doesn't make sense. A baby is just one stage of growth. People don't stay as babies forever. People grow up. Your child can be a baby, but your child could be a baby or a toddler or a teenager or an adult. And in the same way, if you've got kids, you're not going to be burping your 20-year-old daughter. Why would you be doing everything in your cleaning company? If you exist over here, you're treating your cleaning company like it's a baby. As the child grows, you will have a little bit less influence over it. Other people will come in who influence it. You don't need to be there all the time to make sure that it survives. You need to take that step back and make sure that there's space for you to be able to do things, put things in place. You don't have to be doing everything. You don't want to be stifling its growth. But so often I see cleaning company owners being the bottleneck. So focus on this. You don't want to be in the right-hand side. You want to be in the left-hand side. That's where you want to be. That's working on the business, right? You probably heard this expression. It's very, very famous. Michael E. Gerber came up with it. There's a great book called The E-Myth. Go read it if you haven't. Please do. But you don't want to be working in the business. You want to be working on the business. That's what this is. You've got the day-to-day stuff that's constantly trying to grab your attention. Your responsibility as a cleaning business owner is to make sure that you don't let it grab your attention unless it's something that really demands it. Now, if your biggest client is threatening to walk away, drop everything, go deal with it. But if you've got a small client and they've got an issue about something happened, there was a complaint, it is what it is. Just give it a little bit of time. You don't have to deal with it right away. Don't get distracted from what it is that you're doing now. Don't let your phone become the distraction. If you're busy working on the business and you get distracted, a study has shown that it takes people on average 23 minutes to get back to the same level of focus. And most people simply don't get back to the same level of focus. That is the damage that's happening if you allow yourself to be distracted constantly. Give yourself the opportunity to put in good work into the business. That means setting boundaries with people that you know. Hey, your family are in the house? Great. Hey, I'm not available right now. I will be back at this time, but from this time till this time, I need 0 interruptions. Whether that means putting in noise-cancelling headphones and listening to music while you do work so you can't hear what's going on out there. Whether it means putting your phone in silent or turning it off, putting it in a different room, whatever it is. Give yourself the chance to work on the business. Don't get stuck in the right-hand side here. This is not where you belong. You belong in the left-hand side, and you're going to stay in the right-hand side if you don't work on it. So I hope this has been helpful.